It was that Kyiv Square performance by the Ukrainian singer Andriy Kilvnyuk that inspired the legendary rock band Pink Floyd to write the group's first music in 28 years. Their song, Hey Hey Rise Up, is #2 right now on iTunes downloads, has reached #1 on iTunes in 29 countries, with all proceeds going directly to Ukrainian humanitarian relief. Joining me now, a rock legend, David Gilmour of Pink Floyd. Mr. Gilmour, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Hey, thank you for having me on.
So you have personal ties to this. Your daughter-in-law is Ukrainian, your grandchildren, and you said your daughter-in-law, it was her who sent you the clip of Kilvnyuk singing that song in the Kiev Square. What was your initial reaction? What moved you in that moment? That title fits with the Ukrainian fight now, doesn't it? Hey, hey, rise up, which is exactly what the country is doing. You've made it clear that while this is personal for you, you have family ties to Ukraine, that it's the cause, really, the mission, and your reaction to seeing the images of human suffering there.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it is appalling what is going on there, how a world superpower in this day and age, in 2022, can attack an independent country. This is the sort of thing that diplomacy is supposed to deal with. You talk, you meet. You don't just send in all these troops. It's beyond the imagining of most people, I think. It's just a very, very striking performance. And of course, one takes advantage of the fact that it's a cappella and there's no other instruments backing it. So you can easily take it to a studio and do something with it. I was already very frustrated by my own inability to do anything much about this awful thing that's going on over there in Ukraine, and this seemed like a great thing to arrive at my feet, that I could then turn into something which would actively, I hope, do some positive good, help boost the morale of the people in Ukraine and the forces there who are fighting off this Russian attack.
Yeah, there is a history of songs having particular power at particular times. If you think back, frankly, in Soviet times, The Winds of Change, that song, how that inspired many people behind the Iron Curtain, or Feed the World, right? We Are the World, back in the Ethiopian famine. Do you believe songs like this one can have power beyond the music?
Well, one doesn't want to get too up there in all this thing about how much a song can do, but these people are fighting are real people. They're young people. Pink Floyd is fairly popular out in Ukraine and in Russia, and putting our marker down and saying this is what we believe in, and we'll show to both sides of that this dispute, this war, that where our feelings are and how wrong we think this whole thing is.
Yeah. I would be remiss, and there would be music fans who punished me if I didn't ask this question, but how did you manage to write and perform such a powerful song, a great song, and one that has risen to the top of the charts in just a matter of days? And why did you choose to do so after so many years out of the studio?
I'm a member of this band, Pink Floyd. We have a big market, a big throw, and after hearing the song and beginning to put it up in my studio on a system and try to work out what to do with it, had to at the same time think about where it was going to go. And I thought the best thing we could do is for me to call Nick up and say, hey Nick, will you take part in this with me, and can we get into a studio, which turned out to be my barn, and record it and video it and try and do our bit for what the world and Ukraine so desperately need right at this moment.
Now, Andriy, the singer featured in the song, he's doing his part on the ground there. We see him there when he was performing first in his uniform, because he's joined the fight himself. I wonder, do you envision, hopefully in peaceful times, more peaceful times down the road, a live performance between Pink Floyd with Andre?
I certainly wouldn't rule it out. Yeah, I mean, it would be great if we can make something like that work. And he is very keen on the idea. I've spoken to him several times in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
It's quite a musical.
One of the times I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, he was actually in a hospital bed, having been struck by a piece of mortar shrapnel, quite small, but he was there with a big black eye and a big bandage all over his face. And so, you know, the reality of what he is living through and what, you know, millions of other people are living through there is just beyond what most of us can really understand or believe can happen in the world today.
Yeah.